Evening, guys. Welcome to the Man United Agenda. It's me and Rebel. Today we talk Ten Hag and his 4-year. We talk backroom staff. We might drop in a little bit of Felix, Sane, and if we've got time, we might even drop a little bit of Sam Johnson. Guys, welcome to the agenda. Rebel, Tuesday nights. Talk to me, man.
Yes, indeed. I just want to say before we get into the nit and grit of today's show, I want to wish the very best of luck to OMONDI Juma, who is battling for the title of Harry Maguire's #1 fan at the Harry Maguire Appreciation Society meeting today. And he's being supported outside by Solo, who's got the Justice for Fred team protesting outside.
Thanks, Rebel. I did wonder why one day I wasn't here to say, look, now we know.
Yes, indeed.
At least we know he's watching. At least we know he's watching.
Well, here he's not going to be too happy when we go into the stuff that we have to talk about today, because it doesn't look bright for his man.
Well, look, let's talk. Let's get the ball rolling.
Yes.
Listen, look, we knew that it was coming. It's still not here in his share on the pitch, but I think a verbal agreement as good as we're going to get before the PSV game. I'm over the moon. I'll be honest. I'm over the moon with what's happening. You know what the club's like. Full of shit half the time. Break your heart on the Saturday. It's mended by the Sunday. But look, good news come out. Let me hear your thoughts.
Yes, indeed, Mr. B. The Ballman's Association of the United Agenda have got their man. We have got Erik ten Hag. It is a verbal agreement in place for him to become Manchester United's next permanent manager. We're expected to pay £2 million for him, which frankly is a pittance for a guy that's supposed to be considered to be one of the best tactical brains in the world at this time, and whose career has been on an upward arc since he took over at Ajax back in December 2017. He took Ajax on an unbelievable journey, reaching a Champions League semi-final. And let's not talk about nothing less than his greatest achievement. A guy that was considered a failure at West Ham. He brought him over. He called him to his chest, and he's turned him into an absolute assassin. And you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Sebastian Haller.
I mean, he's turned him into a his numbers this season have been incredible, man. But before we go any further, Rush Marno, thank you. 10 happens to be my favorite number.
It's a magic number. Oh, yes. Thank you very much, Rush.
Thank you so much for that. Rebel, sorry, I cut you off, man.
No worries, but I think you have to show absolute respect for the club in actually pursuing this man. He's got an ability to transform teams. I'm sure Monday will be back with us tomorrow, and he'll be telling us all about what he's done at Ajax. We're going to hit a flavour of it later on, but there is a big game for them, and we have this weekend the Dutch Cup final, and we have to show some respect to his current team. They need to prepare. They need to be fully focused on that. So to get this news today is an absolute welcome sight for all of us here at Manchester United who are fans of the club. And as you said, we hope that at some point the love-hate relationship where they break our hearts and then we cry it away and we come back full of love again, that cycle breaks. But Mr. B, I know you're excited. I know Solo, he's crying into his chocolate ice cream today. He wanted Pochettino. He hasn't been delivered for Solo. So, sorry, Solo. I'm sure you can forgive us for being excited.
Yeah, I mean,
But
look, what are we expecting from this whole thing? I mean, now we're going to be linked with players, more players than we were. But is it going to be a prize thing? Is it going to be a country thing? You know, we're going to be linked with 7 players from Ajax, 45 players from the Dutch league. If Ranić stays, it'll be an extra 150 from the other one, from the Bundesliga. I mean, it's going to be chaotic at the moment, no?
well, we're going to have, well, the papers and the media, they are licking their lips. They got half of Holland that they can say is going to be going to join Manchester United. If Ranić continues in his role upstairs, the entirety of the German football population is going to be linked with us. So they're going to be selling bare newspapers for the entirety of the next transfer window. So they're going to be delighted. And we at the Man United Agenda are going to be delighted because we're going to get to talk about the pros and cons of every single one of those players, which is going to be very exciting for us. I can't hear you, Mr. B.
I muted the mic. Sorry, I was waffling to myself. Sorry. I've been looking at bits and pieces, and I know you and OMONDI are more the tactical what's the word I'm looking for? The
Analysts?
yes, there you go. Tactical analysts on the show. So I want you to educate me, one, on the playing style that we will be playing, and two, just if there's any players in our current squad who could maybe slot into brief. We keep it brief. I know there's going to be, I'm expecting a show with you on a Monday to go deep into everything, but right now just a brief one as to regards to like the players that we might be able to keep or the ones who's going to be going. But before we go any further, if you are watching, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, hit the notification as well. We're on our way to 1,500. Please, it costs nothing. Sorry, Rebel.
No problem
Away
at
you
all.
go. Away you go.
Just to add to that, if you are a member of our wonderful channel here, you do get the opportunity to come on the watch-alongs at halftime to give your views on how you feel those matches are going. And there's also an opportunity to appear on the show on a Friday night with the host that knows the most about takeaways, Mr. B. So make sure, if you have an interest in doing that, that you do get on to us, and we will try and arrange a convenient day for you to appear on the show. But let's hit this Ten Hag revolution, as I'm going to call it, in brief. What can we expect from him? So here are some of the hallmarks from his style of play at Ajax. He likes a variation of build-up play. His Ajax team were excellent at playing the ball out from the back, keeping possession, and progressing ball up pitch, while also causing players to be dragged out of position in the opposition side. There are a number of tactical examples that, again, I will wait to upload on my learned colleague, Mr. Monday Juma, who's sitting in the chat. But that will be the first primary principle we'll see, is a need to be able to play out from back. So what does that mean for our current crop of defenders? AKA, at the moment, the starting players of Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw, and was Wan-Bissaka the last day. So what does that mean for them? Obviously, it's going to be a change of play style. They've being able to play out from the back, maybe that is something that will suit Harry Maguire, because OMONDI has been telling us how good he is at distributing ball and being able to play out from the back. So with the right partner, could we see Harry Maguire reborn? We'll have to look at that. But the wing backs, this is where things get interesting. Ranić has another heading that he likes: purposeful defending. He likes his players to break into space and be aggressive defenders. Centre backs need to be good distributors of the ball, comfortable carrying possession up pitch. His full backs, who at times also become half backs, actually supplement the midfield, which is a 3-man midfield, which if you do remember, back time with Vaughan has been saying should be the way that we need to go forward in order to attack the Premier League. So these fullbacks / halfbacks will be forming a diamond at times in our midfield. And that then will encourage us to push into that attacking space. So he's going to be looking for a lot of dynamic movement from our players. And in the interest of fluidity, that's the next heading. He wants a fluid midfield. In the 2019 Champions League run, he played 4-2-3-1 in the Champions League. That got him to the semi-finals. He played a false 9 in that run. However, in league, he played 4-3-3. And he wanted his wingers pushed up high and playing more of an inverted nature, i.e. cutting in, shooting. So that will be a new departure for Manchester United. And he has already apparently name-checked one Mr. Marcus Rashford, who, of course, Mr. B, you are a big fan of, as being an integral part of what he's trying to do. So that will be of interest. And again, it's something that we'll have to delve into further. And the final thing, and again, this is something that will be upmost in the review of the current squad. He'll want to see a counter press. He'll want to see some aggressive marking. So he sets out his squad to be aggressive and out of possession, squeezing play and adopting a high line. Can Manchester United's current squad, without acquisitions, achieve that? We will look at that in further shows as we break down what the Ten Hag era would look like. We've already spoken about the width. He's looking for inverted wingers. Again, we look at the impact on the selection that is available to him in the coming weeks. Alanga, Sancho, Rashford, etc. But upmost and above all, what will the attacking line look like? We currently have one Cristiano Ronaldo. Eddie Cavani is more than likely leaving at the end of the season, given that his contract is out. So where do we go with that? So that's all waiting to be uncovered in the coming weeks here in the Man United agenda, along with the tactical analysis that you have just highlighted, Mr. Mundi Juma.
I tell you, I can't wait for. I'll be honest, I can't wait for you and Mondi's tactical breakdown. Players we're linked with. What are we gonna do? What is he gonna do? That's my biggest fear. It's gonna be a summer of absolute bullshit. I'll be honest. I want it done. When can we buy players?
I think isn't
July
it
the
the end of June?
Okay,
or is it
July
earlier? Is it earlier this year over the World Cup? They're starting the season earlier, aren't they?
I don't know. I don't know.
In the comments, if you do know what date the transfer window opens, drop it for us there, and we'll clarify that for the viewers. But the thing is, though, I would assume, and this is where I'd like your views, Mr. B, that given that we have this verbal agreement, that certain concerns that Ten Hag would have had in terms of autonomy of decision making, etc., were probably overcome, and that some clarity was given to what role and what levels of power he will have. And I would assume that can only be a good thing, that we are united in our front executively and in the coaching staff with how we're going to go from here on.
I mean, the interesting thing about that, I mean, look, we've had Robin Van Persie, we've had Jaap Stam, obviously amongst others, but we had Steve McLaren and Rennie Mullenstein linked with his backroom staff, as in Ten Hag's backroom staff. Thoughts on any of these three, any of these four opinions?
I'd like to pick up Robin Van Persie, if you don't mind. I think you do have a liking for Jaap Stam, so I'll let you cover that one. But the report about Van Persie, for me, I think things are a bit premature in terms of his development as a coach. He's only recently become the under-16 coach at his club, Feyenoord, where his son does his trade. So it is probably a bit tenuous at this point to be saying he's ready to take on a role as massive as the rebuilding job that will be in front of him at Manchester United. We're going to have to completely reset the thinking of any player that's wearing our shirt next season in order to buy into what is going to be a very demanding set of criteria that Ten Hag is going to set out for his players. So unless Ten Hag has specifically looked for Van Persie because he's seeing something that he can add to his coaching ticket, I would suggest that this is unfortunately just a little bit too early for Robin, and that he probably needs to follow the path that we've seen the likes of Wayne Rooney go, and probably stand on his own 2 feet, build his reputation, and then, regardless of which big club it is, get his chance at one of them.
I mean, good point. I mean, okay, so we've got McLaren and Rennie Mullenstein. Now, I have heard, you know me, I always hear these things, that Rennie Mullenstein has got a verbal agreement to take over the Australia national team. So I think that puts him out of the way. The interesting one for me, I'll be honest, is the Yap Stam. I mean, the quote from Yap Stam: "In principle, I'm open to any role at Manchester United. I have enjoyed a good working, and I have enjoyed working and living there, and have a lot of time for the club." Those are the quotes that I want to hear. Those are to me, that shows a man who wants to come, who's willing to come, who's willing to make sacrifices to come. A couple of things about his managerial quote, half managerial career though. He got sacked from MLS club FC in Cincinnati in September. He's also had spells at PEC Zwolle, Young Ajax, Reading, and Feyenoord. So all managers get sacked. The one thing he does have is experience. Well, the one thing he does have experience, but the fact that he's willing to come back, leave wherever he is, and come back and be a second in charge of a club that, you know, let's be honest, we all love him. I still think Vidic is an absolute master. Whatever he can do, training the defenders, I'm going to assume he would be that side of it. I would take that hands down. I mean, the McLaren one, I do understand the links with McLaren, but I just feel that wouldn't that be going back? I understand, you know, he's a good coach. Everybody says he's a good coach, but I'm not sure he's the guy that I would personally like. Now, if it's a man that Ten Hag picks, who am I to argue with Ten Hag? But I would rather take Yap Stam personally. Thoughts, Reb?
Yeah, firstly, Matthew Bassett is basically seen from your hymn sheet. He says that Yap Stam will make a phenomenal defensive coach. And again, just thinking back to the days that he was in partnership with Mr. Hemmingberg at the spine of the Manchester United defence, I think he could only do good things for any defender that is on our books in the first team squad next year. He might be able to sort out whatever mental issues is going on with Harry Maguire. Maybe he might inspire him to be a bit louder, a bit more forthright on the pitch. This guy will not take any prisoners. And as you said, he's willing to sacrifice to take the job at Manchester United. So if he is someone that Ten Hag can work with, then obviously that can only benefit Manchester United.
Guys in the chat, just any of them four, what would your preference be? Obviously mine is Stam. I've got some people, I see SHAH in here saying as long as he don't bring McLaren back. Thoughts? Who do you guys want? Just put the name in the comments, and we'll have a look. We'll have a go at the end.
What I would say, Mr. B, though, just to summarise in finality in terms of any backrooms team composition, is it is probably going to take a number of weeks after we announce Ten Hag officially, once his business is concluded with Ajax, to actually identify who he's going to bring with him, firstly from Ajax, because I'm sure there would be a number of those team members that he'll want to pluck from there and bring with them across the water to continue working with him, because he will have his ability to function as a unit kind of built in with those coaches, and will need some bit of that to continue when he comes to Old Trafford, along then with whatever new faces that he hasn't previously worked with that he brings in. Personally speaking, I don't want to see Stevie Mack anywhere near our club anymore. He was a servant to the club. He done what he needed to do. But again, a bit like some other assistant coaches that are floating around at the moment, they seem to be yesterday's dogs at this stage, and maybe some of them have probably seen their last days at the higher end of football.
Do you think that they might insert, or do you think it's going to be an issue if they insert clauses? Ajax saying, well, obviously Ten Hag won't be able to buy any Ajax players for 2 years or 3 years, or he can't take any of his backroom staff. Do you think that's something that Ajax could maybe put in place, or do you think that they're just open, they're glad, they're going to let him go with their blessing, and if they want to raid the club for players and management, they're going to they're open to do that?
I think you have to look at the type of club that Ajax there is. They sell players routinely to other clubs, but what they have behind them is a well-established academy. So they already have their next whoever to go, like Gravenich is going to Bayern Munich. I'm pretty sure deep down that academy, they're about to spring another young midfielder to try and take on that position. So I don't see any need for them to put in a clause that we won't be able to go back and pay probably a decent fee for any player that we feel could arrive at Manchester United and do a job for us that Ten Hag wants. Similar with the coaching, you have to bear in mind that Ajax will, after he moves on, need to appoint a new head coach. He will probably more than likely want to shift in some of his own team members. So the fact of the matter is that any ones that are retained may not feature as part of the plans of the next Ajax manager. So I would imagine, again, there would be a bit of freedom subject to compensation for any in-contract coaches, which Ten Hag says, I want him, him, and him. Just do the deal.
I mean, talking about him, and him, again, obviously, players that we've been linked with, I mean, the list is going to be big, but just today, we've been linked with Joao, Felix, and Leroy Sané. I'll say my point on Leroy Sané first. I don't want him. He's injury prone. I mean, he's not even good on FIFA, and his stats are great. Attitude problem, injury prone. The fact that he played for Man City, and he's going to cost. I mean, Bayern. Let's be honest. Do Bayern sell players who are any good, who can offer them anything? I don't think so. So Sané for me, I'm not having. Joao Felix, on the other hand, if his price wasn't so much, I mean, his figures this season, obviously in that defensive style that what's his name, Simone plays, doesn't benefit their attacking players. But again, the money that they're talking, I just don't see it something that could work out. Rebel, what do you reckon?
Right. Let's knock out this Leroy Sané nonsense to start with. German winger, 26 years of age, 13 goals, 60 games. Current deal runs until 2025. This is bare nonsense, let's be honest, because the last player we took from Bayern Munich was one Bastian Schweinsteiger, if you remember. And he was pretty much at the end of his career. We didn't even get him in Matic condition when we bought him. He was, unfortunately, done. And the fact of the matter is, Sané, when you look at the issues that we need to do at Manchester United, I don't think he fits the mould. We probably would be inviting a Pogba situation on us again in terms of their mental attitude combined with the injury profile of Eric Bailly. So that's a big no-no for me. Joao Felix, he's represented by a certain super agent by the name of Mendes.
Ooh.
And let's call a spade here. He always touts out his players to the highest bidder. He's more than likely trying to get top dollar for his player. In the past, He has been a bit of a sweetheart for Fergie to get deals done with. So, is it beyond the realms of possibilities that we get Joey Felix? Absolutely not. But then you would have to ask yourself, is that at the behest of the new manager / head coach? Or is it at the behest of the commercialised possibilities that would ensue with a Joey Felix coming to Manchester United? We absolutely know his talent. And again, I'm sure if those links continue to develop, we will break down every facet of the man's gameplay, but without utilising part exchanges, aka the likes of a Tony Martial or whoever that we feel we need to move on. It would probably represent a large portion of the summer window's transfer budget. And for that reason alone, I think it's probably unrealistic to expect, I should say, that Joao Felix will come to Manchester United, unless there's a hidden pot of gold hidden underneath the Sir Alex Ferguson stand that has been unknown to us.
I mean, Matthew Bassett here, he's got a good point. I mean, he would be fire under
no doubt.
a coach. Yeah, a coach who would bring that out of him. But I said what did they spend on him? 113 mil? No chance. Absolutely no chance. And the fact that he's been offered, it sounds like he's been offered. It's not even something that, one of our scouts or, we've been linked with. He's been offered. That's a figure that I'm really, really not happy with at the moment. But yeah, would I take him? Of course. I think he's a tremendous player. I think he is a tremendous player. But I'm not sure it's somebody that we could something. There's far more pressing positions that we need to fill rather than Felix.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And before we continue on to the next topic, there is a rather interesting one that I think we will engage our wonderful viewers in. A certain Gary Neville, who we have mentioned in shows already this week, has been out stamping his seal of approval on a certain Leeds midfielder by the name of Phillips. We're not going to spend any time talking about Phillips ourselves today, but what I do want to know is, do you think this would represent good value for Manchester United? Would he fit into a Ten Hag system? And would you have him at the club based on what you've seen from him at Leeds United this year? Over to you there, our wonderful viewers, to let us know your thoughts on that issue.
Anything else on Felix? Anything else on Sane? Are we done with hating Sane and fantasizing about Felix?
I want to shout out our very own Mr. SHAH United. He's basically alluding to the fact that Manchester United would become wolves in disguise with the rate of Portuguese links that we are getting.
But I'll be honest, if they play like Neves, then I have absolutely no problem having 5 or 6 Portuguese players in the team. I'll be honest, somebody might be able to pull the reins in on Bruno a bit before he starts going, hey, well, I can't wait to see Bruno under
Ten Hag.
Yeah, under Ten Hag. Take the
one thing that I didn't allude to, actually, now that you mentioned Bruno, and it is a bit of a teaser to the overall discussion later on in the week with OMONDI and the weeks to come. Bruno, as a 10, will be expected in a Ten Hag system to drop deeper, to do more two-way football. So there's going to be a work rate and a direction given to Bruno far in excess of the brief that he's got to date. So that will be a very, very interesting thing to see. We have seen people criticize Bruno for his loss of ball, and OMONDI for what he doesn't do in terms of tracking back. That will not be an option in the Ten Hag system. So watch this space regarding that.
Finally, I know this is a bone of contention between us guys on the agenda, but we've been linked with where's he gone here? Sorry, yeah, we've been linked with Sam Johnson.
Yes, indeed. A former Manchester United keeper.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, Rebel. I've looked at his career path. Is what I should say. So he's done Oldham. He's obviously joined us 2011. We loaned him to Oldham, Scunthorpe, Walsall, Yeovil, Doncaster, Preston North End twice, and Villa. And now he's at West Brom. And now he's been linked with a return to Old Trafford now. It doesn't fill me with great excitement, but I was talking to somebody today and they're saying, well, he gets called up for the England squad and he's a championship player. He's going to cost no money and he will do exactly what a number 2 is supposed to do, and not kick up a stink like Henderson, whether he is or not. The noise has now died down, so maybe Ranick's got in his ear and told him to shut his mouth. But do you think that that would be a good move for the club? Do you think that he could play the Ranick style? Ranick, Ten Hag, yeah, the Ten Hag style. I mean, the fact that he's on a free, I'll be honest, I think that Man United are going to go and sign him. Just the fact that he's on a free.
I'm going to come at this from a more high-level viewpoint. Now, just before I do, there is 13 in the chat, so make sure you do smash that like for us. Give us a little cheeky notification bell to let you know when we go live, and that will bring you all content that is Manchester United. But looking at this from a high level, there are number keepers at Manchester United at the moment, 2 of which could possibly be getting close to the retirement age. I think Lee Grant has all but confirmed that he's retiring at the end of the season. Tom Heaton will be 36 next birthday. So he's probably at the very most going to be possibly in the 3rd choice keeper zone next season. And then there's the conundrum that is the David De Gea and Henderson axis. I don't believe that we will be looking at both these players next season. One of them is going to want to leave to search for that first team football. More than likely at this point, it could be Henderson, but then the style of goalkeeper, and I'm alluding to a future show here again, that Ten Hag will be looking to have might not fit the brief of one David De Gea. So we will have to watch that space.
So, I mean, you say David De Gea has Henderson proved that he can be that sweeper keeper. I understand he comes out. I understand he commands his box, but have you seen him in that sweeper keeper style of play?
I'll be honest with you, Mr. B. My personal viewpoint is this. If we do not have Ten Hag stamping his seal of approval behind a David De Gea number 1, at least for next season, because let's call a spade here, we're not going to rebuild the squad in one window, then I would not be surprised to have both Henderson and De Gea exiting the Manchester United ship, because if De Gea is not number 1, he's not going to be a Manchester United player next season. He's at a stage in his career where being on the bench just isn't going to be in his DNA. As regards the player we've mentioned, Sam Johnson, I do believe he's coming in as a number 2. And he will then be looking possibly to put a bit of pressure on whoever the Manchester United number 1 next season is, let them know that he's about. But I don't honestly believe he will be coming to Manchester United as number 1. But it would be a great success story for him to say, well, I played so well that my old home club that I started with wants me back.
It could have a lot to do with the price. I mean, it would be interesting to see if Man United do pick up any free transfers. You know what? I just had a thought. Maybe we need to do a dream, a fantasy dream, a fantasy dream free 11. Yeah, that's what we want. Some free transfers. OMONDI, write it down, please. I know Shah's going to be on there writing it down on notes and send it to us in WhatsApp, but we don't need that today, Shah. Rebel.
two interesting comments here. Firstly,
Yeah.
Eddie's Football Waffle says Tom Eaton actually has the techers to become a ball-playing keeper for Manchester United. Unfortunately for us, we'll probably have Tom Eaton too late in his career to really benefit. But maybe it could be a short-term shout depending on what's in front of him. So that could be an interesting one to throw to the defensive genius that is OMONDI Juma. SHAH is basically saying to us, personally, going to games, Henderson's a lot more vocal. Now, that is something that we did bring up in our review of a certain goal. We won't go any further into that. Watch yesterday's show and the reaction show if you want to find out what we've done there. But we do need some more vocal players at the heart of our defence to organise. But this is the issue that I thought was interesting. Between the likes of De Gea and Henderson, there's a large chunk of wages. So changing the goalkeeping staff and bringing in someone the likes of Sam Johnson as a number 2 could free up a lot of wage capital.
Yeah, wage cap. He's on a free. How much is he gonna command? I mean, wages will probably be the same as, you know what Man United are like. It'll probably be the same as Henderson. It's just that if we sell Henderson, we're gonna get a fee for him. That's the more along the lines that I was thinking, and maybe that could be reinvested in the club. That was more where I was thinking. Hopefully reinvested and not in those wankers in pockets in their dividends, but hopefully it'll be a reinvest.
The interesting one is there are certain keepers within Premier League that have been identified as possible choices. The likes of SHAH at Wolves, the likes of Melia at Leeds, and there could be a bit of draft capital in the likes of Henderson, who could say, well, if I'm going the other way, their number 1 is packing his bags for Manchester, so maybe it's a tenable spot for me to establish myself again in Premier League and push on and ultimately look at the England jersey. But to conclude anyway, I think there's a lot of speculation at the moment. We do have our man. We have the bald Messiah, Ten Hag, and he is coming to Manchester United based on the reports of a verbal deal being done. I'm sure on Monday, after the dust is settled in the Dutch Cup, there'll be a lot more momentum gathering behind this. There are a few people, I believe, who have said they would like to see Mr. Phillips. Anybody else that does have comments on Gary Neville's endorsement of Leeds United's midfielder Phillips coming to Manchester United and pleading with Manchester United to sign him, let us know in the comments after the show, and we will respond to you and continue the debate there. And I think we have a new person. I haven't seen him here before. From Jamaica, Diego, Manchester United. Welcome, brother. Welcome. Good to see you.
Welcome to the agenda, my friend. Welcome to the agenda. Look, it was a brief one. We've banged it out. We got the topics done. Everybody that was in the chat today, as always, you don't have to be here, but you were. You know, we've got that question about Phillips that we are going to get up on screen again, just for you guys to leave your thoughts in the comments so we can get back to you with our thoughts. Your thoughts. Gary Neville urges Man United to sign Leeds midfielder Phillips. Do you think he would be a good player for the club? Yes or no? A brief why. Rebel, as always, thank you very much for keeping my swearing down. Solo will be pleased.
Yes, indeed. And I'm sure Solo and the number 1 fan of Harry Maguire, OMONDI Juma, who I believe is picking up his award as the number 1 fan in all of the United Kingdom for Harry Maguire, following a rousing speech at the podium in the Appreciation Society today. So congratulations to Monday. We look forward to hearing your thoughts tomorrow when you give us the dressing down that we're probably going to get for flagging you.
Guys, listen, this is the agenda. We dropped a brief one in. All of you, thanks for your comments. The newbies, if you are new, please subscribe, share, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We will be back again at 8:30 tomorrow. We'll have something else to talk about again. Guys, thank you very much. As always, Jenna, peace out.